Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. We are excited to welcome you to this exclusive webinar hosted by AceCloud in collaboration with Veeam Software. The topic for today's session is Building Resilient AI-Driven Enterprises, High-Performance Compute Meets Enterprise-Grade Data Protection. As organizations accelerate AI adoption, the focus is no longer on just building powerful models. It is equally about ensuring that the infrastructure supporting these workloads is scalable, secure, and resilient. In today's session, we will explore how enterprises can combine high performance compute with robust data protection strategies to build AI environments that are reliable, efficient, and future ready. So let's get started with the insightful discussion on building AI driven enterprises. Let's begin with a quick introduction to our partner for today's session. Veeam is a global leader in data resilience, providing backup, recovery, and data management solutions that help organizations secure, protect, and manage their data across cloud, virtual, and physical environments. Its platform enables businesses to ensure data availability, minimize downtime, and confidently scale modern workloads, including AI. Joining us today from Veeam Software is Jigar. With over a decade of experience in data protection and cloud environments, Jigar works closely with organizations to help them modernize their backup strategies and strengthen data resilience across cloud and virtualized ecosystems. Welcome, Jigar. We are glad to have you with us today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Now, a quick introduction to AceCloud, your host for today's session. AceCloud is a trusted provider of dynamic cloud infrastructure services, helping SMBs and enterprises design, deploy, and scale with confidence. With over 15 years of expertise, we deliver tailored cloud solutions that drive agility, efficiency, and secure growth. From virtualization to high-performance computing, we support businesses across industries with end-to-end services built for the future. Joining us from AceCloud is Ashwini, 18 plus years of experience in cloud computing and data center virtualization. Ashwini works with enterprises to design scalable infrastructure and guide technology strategy for modern workloads. Welcome, Ashwini. We look forward to your insights.
Thank you, Akriti.
With that, let's move into the session and hear from our experts on how organizations can build resilient AI environments by combining high-performance infrastructure with enterprise-grade data protection. Over to you, Ashwini.
Thank you, Akriti, once again. Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome. My name is Ashwini, and today we are here to talk about two things that go hand in hand. We are here to talk about, the building the AI infrastructure with AceCloud and making sure the data powering the AI model is always protected. So let's get started. Next. Thank you. I want to pause you here for just a moment and read this slide. Your business is your data, and if you lose it once, lose everything. Think about what would happen if someone is coming to the office in the morning and, and whenever she or he logs into the system and the all data is gone, whether it is the product data, customers data, employees data, databases, anything, whatever the data, business data, which that employee had to work. So if it is gone, so how, what will be the situation at that time? So the question is, could your business survive? Could you recover that data? For most businesses, the honest answer is no, because some of the researches has shown us that 93% of the companies that suffered a major data loss, they couldn't survive for next 1 year and they got shut down. That is why data is not an IT topic anymore. Data is a business survival topic. So we are going to learn the importance of data through these slides, and we will get to know how to protect them, protect the data with the help of Veeam. Next. So data is being created everywhere. Your data is not sitting at one place, it is segregated, at multiple places. So we work in the offices, we work with our laptops, endpoints, servers, storage devices, mobile devices, tablets. So data is the business data of our company is always scattered. So here are some examples that, on-prem infrastructure where we have data on servers, SAN, NAS, on multi-cloud like AWS, Azure, GCP, Google Cloud, AceCloud, hybrid cloud, that is on-prem, plus any other cloud integration that we have enabled for to keep our data, to save our data. Edge computing, so main office is here, and the warehouses, the manufacturing unit, the factories are there where the data is being accessed and generated on the IoT devices. So data is also created and accessed there. Mobile devices, employees are using and creating and accessing data on mobile devices and smartphones like tablets, endpoints, laptop, desktop, VDIs. So data is scattered everywhere. So if we say that, we have the data only on the cloud or only in the office is not a true statement. Nowadays we have data scattered everywhere. So here is the scary part. IDC research, which was conducted last year, that tells us that 80% of the data which is scattered or saved on these devices is not protected. So 80% of data is unprotected. So how can we protect them? What should be the best practices? So we will be covering in upcoming slides. So next. So for the last decade or so, it used to say that the data is the new oil. So it was taken as a resource. So it used to say that it is a new oil, and it made sense at that time because the oil fueled the industrial revolution at that time. Data was fueling the digital revolution, in last decade. So every company was rushing to collect more data, more customer data, more transaction data, more behavioral data. So all the companies were, running after the data to collect more and more and more data. So, but there was a problem. So here is the problem with that analogy. Oil, if spilled, can be cleaned up. You can drill for more oil, and it is replaceable. But now the analogy is changed, and here is, in the next slide that we will discuss that the analogy is changed for the data resource. Next. Now, data is like a new uranium. So it's a new kind of resource, which we can think and we can discuss in the slide. So today, data is no more like an oil resource. It is like a uranium. So think about what uranium makes. So think about that. What makes uranium special and dangerous? So it is incredibly hard to create and refine. It takes years of efforts to create uranium. It needs to be carefully stored, and you cannot just leave it anywhere. You have to protect it. In wrong hands, it is extremely dangerous. And once it is mishandled or lost, the damage is catastrophic and irreversible. Your business data is exactly the same way. Your customer databases, your financial records, your AI training data, your databases, customers, financial information, employees' data, everything. They take years to build. They cannot be replicated overnight. So if if that data go into the wrong hands through a cyber attack or through a ransomware attack, the consequences can destroy your business and your reputation. That is why we say data is the new uranium, handle with care and protect it at all costs. Next. So here in the simple, comparison between both the analogy of oil and uranium, we can see that, both oil was replaceable, but the uranium is not. That means if the data is lost, the businesses are affected with the loss of reputation and can be shut down within 1 year. And the bottom line says your business data took years to build, one breach, one ransomware attack, one fire, and it's gone. That is why backup is not an optional anymore. It is a part of nowadays compliance. It is the need of the business continuity to keep the data secure and able to restore whenever required. So it is a kind of backup is a business insurance. Next. So here are the hard numbers, which present, which present that the situation of the market of the businesses which were, compromised, attacked by the attackers. So here are some studies, some researches which were done in 2025. 4.88 million, that is the average cost of single data breach today. Not for the large corporation, that is the average number. So that means for many small and mid-sized businesses, one breach of this size would mean shutting down. 75%, 3 out of 4 companies were hit by ransomware last year, and their backups were also targeted. So that means when attackers or the hackers attacks the company's production data, they also attack the backups repository as well, so that you'll the victim will have to pay for the ransomware, and then they can restore. They can provide the keys, decrypt keys to decrypt the data. Every 2 seconds, somewhere in the world right now, the new cyber attack is being launched. Every 2 seconds, it is happening. So this is not a rare event. This is happening constantly. 93% of companies that suffer a major data loss are gone within 1 year, not struggling. So they simply went, they got shut down. 31.5 billion. This is how large the global backup and recovery market will be by 2029. So that means the businesses are waking up. They are understanding the need of the hour. They want to protect their data, and they are using the best practices, best tools, best solutions from the market to protect their data. So that is why the market of backup and DR is going to will be 31.5 billion by 2029. 41% of IT leaders say the reason they could not recover from ransomware was because the backup failed. So having backup is not enough. When there is no a recovery plan, or the drills are not happening. So it is all waste, So proper, if backups are there in place, the proper drill recovery plan, the test of data recovery drills, backup drills should be happening, so that companies should know that how much they are ready in case of any ransomware or any other attack. Next. So this is one of the slide with the data from the Veeam's Data Protection Trends Report 2025 that Veeam conducted last year with 300 IT leaders. And these are the numbers which were shared by the IT leaders. So 86% of the companies were hit in 2024, because this report was conducted in 25. So 86% of the companies were hit by ransomware attack. And in 2023, it was 76. So the trend is going upwards. 63% had their backup specifically attacked during the ransomware incident. This is the most important stat on this side. The criminals know that if they destroy your backup, you'll have to pay ransom. You cannot recover your data, you will have to pay ransom. 57% of the companies paid ransom, and they couldn't restore 100% of their data. Only 57% of only 54% of encrypted data was actually recovered. Rest couldn't be recovered. 68% of IT teams discovered that they had the backup and recovery plans on the paper only, but when they tried to recover the data, so it couldn't happen. So there was failure. 79% of increasing in backup budgets. So now companies are concerned about the data security, protection of their data. So now 79% of companies increase their annual budget for taking backups. 42% still use old-fashioned backup methods like tape. These legacy systems are simply not built to defend against modern attacks. So the message is clear. Most companies are under protected and overconfident. Next. So here are the 6 threats which which are being faced by enterprises on daily basis. So ransomware, this is the big one. Criminals break in, encrypts all your data, demand payment to unlock it. In 2024, the average ransomware payment was 2.73 million. And even after paying that amount, the data was not recovered 100%. The data was still lost. Insider threat, not always intentional. If by any mistake of any employee, the business data can be deleted, or any employee who is exiting, he can intentionally, delete or erase the data from the production or from the backup levels. Hardware failure. So having a single copy on the hardware without having RAID, or let's say if there is RAID got failed and backups are not there. So that single copy of data is also problematic, and that can also lead to losing the data permanently. Cloud misconfiguration, which is nowadays very common thing happening, that sometimes any developer or any IT engineer by mistake misconfigure the bucket access to public, not limited to the office IPs or any specific IP. So misconfiguration at the cloud level is also dangerous and leading the companies to lose the data. Study says that 82% of cloud breaches are connected to misconfiguration. DDoS and outages. Sustained attacks can take down your systems and corrupt live data. Even legitimate outages at cloud providers can cause data loss. Compliance breaches. India's DPDP Act, GDPR in Europe, HIPAA in US. If you lose customers' data, the regulatory fines can be larger than the breach itself. Up to 250 crore per violation under India's DPDP Act alone makes more sense that the enterprises, the companies should think and put the best practices for the data recovery and DR in place. None of these threats are theoretical. They are happening right now to businesses just like you. Next. Now, this brings us to the core of the today's message, that why we brought AceCloud and Veeam together in this webinar. So AceCloud provides the infrastructure, GPU-powered compute, managed Kubernetes, scalable storage, everything your AI applications and workloads need to run at full speed. Veeam provides the protection layer, immutable backups that ransomware cannot touch, intelligent detection of suspicious backup activity, and fast recovery, so that even if something goes wrong, you are back up in minutes, not days. Together, you get a complete, resilient enterprise stack uh, to run your AI workloads, and confidence that your data is always safe and always recoverable. No gaps, no weak links, no single points of failure. This is what true resilience looks like in 2026. Next. So here is who we are. So we are AceCloud. We are a part of real-time data services. We are having more than 15 years of experience. We are operating from three different data centers, one in the US and two in India. We have got 100 plus awards, 600 domain experts we are working with us, and we are catering 20,000 businesses at present. We are also certified with the highest industry standards, ISO 27001, and our facilities, US and India, are HIPAA compliant. And we back everything with a 99.99 uptime guarantee. In simple terms, we are not a small startup. We are a trusted, proven infra company that thousands of businesses rely on every day. Next. Now, let me quickly show you what AceCloud provides, because we are much more than just a cloud server company, agentic AI platform. Let me start with our newest and most exciting offering. Agentic AI is the next revolution of enterprise AI, moving beyond simple prompt response to autonomous agents that can reason, plan, execute multi-step tasks. Our agentic AI platform lets you deploy scalable AI agents on popular source frameworks in seconds. No need to stitch together your multiple infra components, your requirements. You can just get all solutions under the one, at one stop at AceCloud Hosting. The tooling, the compute, and the scaling are all built in our platform. Compute, we are providing high performance compute running on AMD and Intel processors with NVMe back storage. We offer standard RAM intensive, CPU intensive profiles. So you pay for exactly what your workload needs. This powers your CI, CD pipelines, web applications, and batch processing that runs alongside your AI workloads. Database as a service, we are providing fully managed databases like Postgres, MySQL, MariaDB, Kafka, RabbitQ, and more, with automated provisioning, backups, and point-in-time recovery. Kubernetes, we are providing managed Kubernetes with a fully managed control panel, auto-scaling, auto-healing, monitoring, logging, and ingress included out of the box. This is the orchestration layer that ties everything together in production. Public cloud, our public cloud is focused, no nonsense platform. Unlike hyperscalers with 200 plus services, we give you a clean, purpose built stack without a complexity tax. The result, up to 60% cost saving, zero hidden egress fees, and unmetered bandwidth on the public cloud. Cloud GPU, the key differentiator for AceCloud GPU compute that we provision in under 5 minutes with a pre-configured ML stack. No wait lists, no procurement cycle. We have seen 500x GPU growth in past fiscal year as enterprises move from pilot to production. Cloud storage, NVMe backed block storage for high IOPS workloads, S3 compatible object storage for unstructured data, and Glacier tier archival for long-term retention. Your storage layer holds your most valuable AI assets. Training data sets, model weights, in inference results. Protecting this data isn't optional. It it is it doesn't existential for any AI driven enterprise. Power private cloud. And finally, for enterprises that need dedicated infra with complete data control, especially in regulated industry like healthcare, fintech, and government, our private cloud offers secure, high-speed infra with full data sovereignty, fully aligned with India's DPDP Act for sovereign and cloud deployments. That was it from my side. Thank you. And from here, I would request Jigar to take it forward for more deeper, discussions, technical part from Veeam Solutions. And we have a polling session as well. Like Akriti, if you can.
Hi everyone, good evening. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. If you can showcase my slides. Thank you so much. So we have done with the polling part. So let's start, let's continue with the rest of the stuff. Yeah. So yes, if you can see why data protection matters in this era of modern workloads and the ransomware area. So let me make you very clear. This session is not just about the technology. Okay, it's about the outcomes. How do we ensure that business continuity, recoverability, and the confidence in an era where the cyber attacks are inevitable? Okay, so we all are aligned on a shared vision around the cyber resilience. Okay, walk through the real world challenges and see how we enable organization to move forward from traditional backup to true data resilience. That's what the main agenda is for this particular session. Next, please. So, absolutely, like when resilience is a questionable, the consequences can be severe, right? Downtime is no longer measured in just hours; it is measured in a business impact, from financial loss, regulatory penalties, to long-term brand damage, physically. Okay, so if you can just see the numbers like per incident, what is the global leverage cost for this particular breach is world is facing right now. So we have to be very par on that particular stuff, right? So you should make sure the how you are protecting your production workload the same way your backed up data should be protected in case of any ransomware disasters. Okay, in case of any cyber threat disaster, the only backups are the only way to recover your business back. DR doesn't comes into the picture because whatever is in the infected or malware data is available on the DC side, that is getting replicated in real time at the DR side. So in case of any cyber threat, backup is the last line of defense. In fact, I can say that is the best line of defense. So you should always make sure that the backups are protected and has been given the same importance as the production data is. Okay, if you can see, the average cost is 4.9 million per incident, and 60% of the SMBs are going out of the business after this kind of events. Okay, next please. So we need to understand that how ransomware attackers are entering to your environment. Okay, so these are the four parameters which are the highlighted and the topmost four parameters where sometimes negligence, sometimes unpatched versions, sometimes human errors, that are the main cause of reasons for these attackers to get inside into the environment. So if you can understand, attackers typically gain initial access through phishing, stolen credentials, or unpatched vulnerabilities. Okay, once inside, they escalate the privileges and move laterally across the environment. So ideally, they are not attacking you on the day one. They are observing you, that what is your working pattern, at what time you're clicking on which report, at what time you're doing what. Okay, and they're triggering on the event base. Okay, and they're understanding your pattern, and they're even not only they're attacking your data, they're also reading your financial profit and loss. P&L accounts are also being monitored. Okay, based on that, they are demanding the ransom ideally. So you need to be very, very crucial, and need to build that resilient ecosystem. And that means, where I mean to say, there is no single silver bullet which can say that even after installing my application, your all the data is safe. It is not like that. It is like that you need to build the resilient ecosystem. You need to create multiple walls, so that attacker can come inside, but yes, they can stop at somewhere, so you get a chance to mitigate particular stuff. So you need to build that ecosystem like that. Okay, so a critical phase, and one of the often underestimated, is backup system targeting. Okay, attackers actively search for the backup servers, repositories, and the retention policies. You understand, right? That nowadays they are not trying to attack your production directly, they are trying to attack your backup repository first, so that there is a zero possibility to recover their data, and the ransomware attacker are assured about their ransom payment. Okay, so by that time the ransom note appears, the last line of defense is already neutralized. This is why the traditional assumption about the backup is being safe by default is no longer true. Okay, so need to make sure whatever you are protecting, it is protected with all the security measures, and you are already following all the resilient ecosystem altogether, right? Next, please. So, as I already mentioned, that backups are the first target for this attackers to attack about it, right? So, backups are, if the attacker can destroy or compromise the backup, they dramatically increase the leverage. Okay, organizations are then forced to choose between paying the ransom or facing prolonged downtime or data loss, or maybe shut down their businesses, as we already discussed, right? So methods of compromise that need to be understood. For example, if you're storing your backup on a plain vanilla kind of storage, that is not going to work anymore. You need immutability, you need air gap, you need basically maker checker kind of thing. Okay, whatever who are the administrator are making the changes, make sure there is a security officer who approves the changes, then only it should get affected. Or maybe there are some security flaws in the big backup design. To be honest, to be honest, if you're spending your 100 rupees on production, I have seen the pattern that people only want to spend that 2 to 3 rupees on a backup systems. So ideally the cost cutting always comes to the backup systems, but they don't know the real challenge is backups. If they are not protected well, you are going to lose the whole 100 rupees what you invested. So you need to understand whatever parameters are required in between, that are deployed in a proper manner by following all the best practices in a place. Okay, and need a robust protection basically. Next, please. So yeah, it proves, like, right, hence the traditional backups are no longer enough. So by that time I want to just take a pause for like 15 seconds and ask Kriti to there is a time for first question, if you can publish. Yeah, I think good to go. Yeah, let's come to the slides again. Next, please. So is that image is correct? Just a sake of like to make the things on a lighter note, but ideally this picture is absolutely true. If you understand, if it is working, nobody wants to touch it. The same like a production we act as, but you need to make sure that backups are also not treated like this. That's where the intention is to place this picture. Yeah, next please. Modern workloads require modern backup solutions. Next please. Okay, So how the modern workloads breaks the legacy backup? So by ideally, see, I wanted to say something like how the people are changing their platforms nowadays. If we have seen the hypervisors are raising the cost, or there is an hardware cost is being raised right now due to the Middle East war. We know that about the shortage on the due to this exposure on the AI particular stuff. That's how the memory cost has been rising like haywire. We all know that about, right? So nobody wants to do the capex nowadays. Everybody has like moved toward the opex side. So somebody is opting for a private cloud, or someone is opting for the public cloud workloads. So they don't want to host anything on premises just to avoid the capex, and they have choose for the opex. So this patterns keeps on changing. Okay, that is no, these all are like these all are like dynamic in nature. It cannot be hold every time budgetary comes into the picture, or sometimes it is a compliance, or sometimes it is in like a need for the actual business need that not be hosted on premises. Then that you don't have any option but to invest. But sometimes you have a leverage that you can host on the cloud as well, and your compliance also allowed to do that. Then people will switch like this way. Oh, okay. So it's about like dynamic in nature particularly. Okay, so workloads are dynamic, distributed, and automated. They run across on-premises environment, public cloud, SaaS platform, container ecosystems. Legacy backups were designed for static environments actually. Okay, and the periodic snapshot kind of thing. They struggle to keep with the today's scale, speed, and security environments. So this is why the modern workloads require modern purpose-built backup and resilient solutions. So that's where we need to understand which data protection solution in the market can help me to achieve the particular, right? Yeah. So next, please. So I would just like to take your 30 seconds to make you understand that how Veeam has expanded that portfolio in the over upcoming like some last couple of years. Okay, how we are expanded ourselves from usually Veeam were known only for the virtualization protection, but now see the vast workload capability we have to protect across. If you can see that our five pillars, that is data backup, recovery, portability, security, and the data intelligence, is built on the five different verticals altogether. There is like cloud workloads, virtualization platforms, physicals, application, and unstructured data. So this is what the wide area where the Veeam is able to protect from a single platform. Okay, not only that, but as I said, dynamic in nature. Now people are opting to go to M365, or they are hosting their Entra ID. So moving from on-premises Active Directory to the Azure Entra ID. So even we are capable enough to do that backup of Entra ID backup also. But just let me just take a leverage of like around 2 seconds to make you understand. Entra ID is the single application on the planet which is getting 60 billion daily attacks. Just imagine the numbers. Okay, so these were the numbers of Q4 2025. Maybe this has been increased like over a couple of months, but right now it is being hardly hitted. So you should always make sure whatever your Active Directory you are taking care in the while it was on premises, you need to make sure that is also protected while it is hosted on the SaaS platform. So it's not like that. You need to very clear that Microsoft uh, is only responsible to make sure that infrastructure and the uptime is the responsibility, but the data what is inside that, it is your own responsibility. You should make sure you are protecting well enough. So M365 or Entra ID, you should make sure you are protecting. Okay, so when it's come to the Salesforce data and the containers, even we are protecting that as well. And when it's come to the Veeam data cloud, it is a storage services offering by the Veeam. So there would be a compliance like your production workloads are hosted being on AceCloud. Okay, your primary backups are also hosted on the AceCloud itself, but your compliance says no, I need one more copy which is outside, or maybe having a certified with some vendor specific. So you can always come to us for the secondary copy hosted on the Veeam cloud. Okay, so you can always leverage that particular services. Yeah, next slide please. So the 3211 rule, we are all aware about it, but if you can see that there was one more one, I have kept it in a bracket basically. So three is nothing but a three main copies. Okay, three copies of data, that is one production copy and two different backup copies. Okay, then immutable backup copy on a two different media sets. One is on the primary storage and another secondary storage, maybe or object storage or a tape storage or a cloud basically. But that one which is in a bracket, that is nothing but immutable and air gap data. So even though your production got compromised, you have something called as a primary repository where you can recover. But even though your primary repository is also compromised, you should always have a secondary copy available offsite and it is air gap properly. Okay, so there is some chances where you can recover and make sure that that you are back in business in couple of hours particularly, right? And zero is nothing but the zero verifications. So that is what the 3-2-1 rule says. Yeah, next please. Yeah. So Vim Data Platform is a one platform with a zero disruption and a full in control. Okay. So basically, if you see the power in, we are powerful backup and recovery in a market. Let me not just play by the words, but I'll prove you that as well in the upcoming slides. Best in market for a threat detections. I have a particular informative slides on that particular as well. Reporting and data analytics, recovery, orchestration, data sovereignty, and AI. The buzzword basically, we are quite capable enough to maintain that all stuff. Okay, so what we say that security is embedded by design, immutability, zero trust principle, role based access, or four eyes authorized directly counter the modern attack techniques. So we are quite capable enough, then that is already inbuilt particularly with the VBR. So I can say that once you try to deploy the VBR in your environment, okay, or you are protecting your workloads with the Vim backup and replication, you are already following the compliance which are required to be followed. Okay, the standard compliance is what I'm talking about. Yeah. The next one. So how we enable the true resilience basically. uh, we deliver the unified data protection across, as I already explained about the portfolio, like virtual, physical, cloud native, or container. We are like quite capable and quite compatible with all the modern workloads available in the market, and usually used by all the enterprises in the market. With embedded securities like immutable backup, zero, we already discussed about it, right? And the fast reliable recovery. So I'll tell you the crux about this particularly in the upcoming slide, and the proactive threat data detections. So next slide please. Let me explain you about the reliable recovery. So data recovery is the Vim secret sauce. Why I'm telling you this? Okay, so just understand, what if my production got compromised, along with that my data stored on the repository, backup repository, that also got compromised. Sorry, let me come back again. So for example, your production got compromised, along with the backup server who was managing the backup, that also got compromised. But the backup repository, which is in an isolate format, that is still there. The main data is still there. But are you sure that data is recoverable? Ideally there is a question mark. The reason is very clear, because usually many of the data protection softwares, what they do, they segregate the metadata and the main data. The metadata is maintained by the backup server in their own database, which help us to keep the great indexing, help with the global deduplication and compression to store, to maintain your data storage capacity consumptions basically. And the main data gets stored on the backup repository. Now, what if your main backup server on which the metadata was stored, that got compromised? Even though you have the data, but it is not recoverable. It is not recoverable. So it is a waste of resources altogether. But how we have this secret sauce? Why we are treating this? Because we do self-describing backup. So we do not separate metadata in the main data. We keep both together on the same backup repository. The only responsibility is yours is to maintain backup repository is in an isolate and the aggregate manner. Okay, so that no attacker can come inside to your backup repository. So where I mean to say, I do not care if my backup server, Beam backup and replication server application is uninstalled or the OS is already formatted. I do not care about it. What I need to do, just provision a new VM, install the Veeam backup and replication software, integrate with the backup repository, scan it. It will get scanned within the few minutes. You are back. You will start restoration, get the back in business about like couple of hours or maybe couple of days, based on the data size you have, right? So this is what the secrets of the Veeam. So we do not separate that particular stuff. We don't want to create that particular chaos in the last moment when there is a real need, when the data need to be recovered. Yeah. And most of the time, people just treat the backup as an checkmark activity. You just want to see the green check. Yeah, the backup is completed, I'm quite safe. But that's not true. But during the disaster, are that backups are recoverable? Point number two, if it is a cyber threat kind of activity, whatever you are trying to recover, whether it is a ransom free, whether it is a malware free data, are you sure about it? So you need to perform test recoveries, you need to conduct the drills, you need to understand that whatever data you are storing, it is recoverable. There is no you need to conduct the CRC, cyclic redundancy check, on the storage production loss. So no block corruption is there, no data corruption is there, no malware is there. So you need to understand whatever backup you are storing, that is that is having a worth to you. When you need it, you are able to recover it a proper manner. That is the more important. So this is what the crux of Veeam, and this is what the secret sauce of the Veeam. So instantly recovering, granularly recovering, and the orchestrating. Okay, yeah, the next please. So I need to make sure whatever I'm talking about, as I said, we are best in the market. We are first threat detection tool. So let me just not go by the words. Let me prove you practically. So if you see, there are like three phases: before the backup, during the backup, and the post backup. So before backup, we are helping you, we are guiding you what are the loophole available in a backup infrastructure. You should make sure that it's properly mitigated. The reason being, let me give a fair enough example. Do not take RDP. That is recommended. But are we not doing so? No. Even even though sometime I also make a mistakes and I also take an RDP. So that is a big problem. You should always disable TLS 1.1. Are we doing so? No. Some applications require that compatibility, hence we are enabled that. Are we enabling the OS level firewall? No. We are relying on domain firewall. So these are some of the basic parameters need to be achieved. But yes, we are not doing so because there is an additional headache, there is an additional operation we need to perform, we need to take care about it. But yes, that one step or one extra work can save you a lot. Okay, so this is all about like before backup. What do you mean by the during the backup? So as I already said about the best threat protection tool in the market, so that's where I'll come up with the AI ransomware detections and the indicators of compromise. So we have our own AI ML engine. Okay, so while you do the backup, you should understand what anomaly you are founding, and you should detect that and you should highlight that. So earlier to this, we were only understanding the anomaly on the base of the data size. For example, I'm doing a backup today, it is a 1 GB. Every day one incremental backup is seems to be 1 GB, but one fine day it raises to 2 GB. So why is this so 100 times increase in the data size? That's an anomaly, right? So that is one kind of anomaly, but we are doing little more extra here. We are doing anomaly detection on the encryption pattern. Now let's take an instance of an database server. You by default have certain percentages on a database server is encrypted. The reason being to store the password and to maintain the ciphers and whatsoever it is. Just take an example. It is 1% is encrypted. Now while I am doing a backup on the day one, it is 1% encrypted. That's okay. While I'm doing the backup on the second day, it raises to 1.1. The third day it is 1.2. On the fourth day it is 1.3. Now the Veeam will detect it is an anomaly. How this encryption is being raised like 1.1% day by day? What is the need? Maybe that may be a false positive net, maybe that may be a false positive event, but it cannot be neglected. We need to take care about it, right? You should immediately involve your infosec team, ask them to scan it. If it is a genuine encryption pattern, so you can mark it as a clean. If it is not genuine, then you should stop taking a backup and start finding the clean room recovery. That is nothing but a post backup recovery. So whatever data you are storing, you should make sure that it is clean. You should scan by your own antivirus, or you can use our own inbuilt nature based scanner. Okay, point number two, you can define your containment scanning. You can use YARA rule. You can define your own YARA rule. By default we provide 3 YARA rule defined by default, but yes, that is customizable. You can define your own YARA rule. So these are the three big phases, okay, where the Veeam is involved and working proactively. So as I said, prove I will prove you that how Veeam is best in the market. So this is the basic reason. And yes, these are the some security vendors we are certified with. Okay, so you can see that. And even sometimes like people get afraid to declare they are under attack due to the brand image or something. But if you declare that, okay, our sweat team get involved, our sweat team get awake. Okay, so what they do, that sweat team is nothing but the cover team. Like couple of years back we acquired the company called as cover. They are actively working on the incident response kind of thing. So they are the specialist in this particular workloads. So they help you to scan the data. They help you with some, if they are available with the decryptor key, will help you with the decryptor key. No additional things on that. Okay, I mean to say no additional. just take in mind. But yes, you are quite your applications are quite critical, and you need to make sure you want to get it insured by using the incident response. Yes, this is an additional services provided by the Veeam, known as an cover by Veeam. Okay, so you can always come to us. We can help you with that incident response services. Yeah, so where we will involve from forensic analysis to the post incident documentations, everything is covered by us. Yeah, so I'll take a pause again for 15 seconds, and it's a time for next poll question.
Hi everyone, the poll is live now.
Yeah, we can move to the next question. Next slide, please. So these are the top security features which are already available, already GA in the VBR console. Okay, so you should make sure if you're protecting your workload, all these features are enabled. If you're not working it, or you are using any third-party tools or something to protect your data, you should make sure that all these security features are available in that particular backup software. Are you using it properly, optimally? So you should make sure that these all security features are available with that stuff. Okay, so these all security features help you to create that resilient ecosystem. Okay, yeah, next slide, please. So this is how we have a vast resilient ecosystem when it's come to the SOAR or SIEM or ready immutability, storage integration readiness. uh, I literally don't know about the another competitors, but yes, Veeam literally has a large ecosystem with and certified with all these vendors on into the market, and these are all like named one, okay, which are already used by the enterprises in the market. So this is how vast ecosystem we have. Okay, so whatever data you are trying to protect with the Veeam, you are quite ensure that data is at the safe end. Okay, yeah. The next slide. Yeah, the buzzword, as I already said, I'll cover up later on that particular part. So AI powered insight help identity risk, anomalies, and recovery readiness issues before they become the incident. So if you understand, like there are like 150 events get raised on day to day basis. Okay, so nobody is going to trace all the 150 150 events or 150 alarms got raised. That are not actual alarm. That is nothing but the noise. Okay, so our AI powered insightful sessions help you to identify which are the genuine alarms. So don't miss that particular stuff. Okay, so we help you to avoid the noise, that is more important, right? And the shift organization from the reactive recovery to the proactive resilience, that is more important, as I can say, right? So yes, when it's come to the diagnostics or something, we have an agentic AI, okay, integrated with the Veeam, where you can answer, like where you can query to the LLM in a layman language. We'll refer to the documented stuffs, and we'll answer you, for example, what is the proxy server or what is gateway server, what is integrated, what are the port numbers. That is all documented, and we refer to it. But we have done little more extra on that. We are using deep learning right now. We are not only referring to the drafted documents, but we are also referring to our own databases. For example, you just go to the portal and ask that what are my last 7 days successful backups. It will highlight you, these are the 7 days successful backups. What are my 7 days last failure backups? So these are the failure backups. What are the reasons for the failures? So it will highlight little more. So I'm not referring to the documented one or static documents, but I'm referring to my dynamic database, and I'm trying to create my own AI generative responses on that. Okay, so that's how we are working on that particular page, right? Yeah, the next slide, please. So this is our threat center is nothing but our central dashboard, which you can showcase to your auditor, just to make sure that like you have a for the networking, you use the Q radar or something as a dashboard to make sure that network is in a green segment and everything is working well or something. But it's the same way, you have a single console as a Veeam one console which score your backup infrastructure, and that gives a peace of mind. as of now it is on 52.3%, which is not a good enough, right? So how this scoring is calculated, this has been calculated on the 4 different parameters. That is nothing but how the hardening you have applied on the backup server, how the data recovery health is, that is you are able to recover your data or not, protection, like you are not missing your SLA for the data protection standpoint, and the fourth is nothing but immutability. Are you using the immutability, and that immutability is fair enough to get your data to be backed and up and running? So usually you see the pattern of the attackers, they do the collateral movement in your environment, and it takes 120 days to identify there is something fishy in my environment. Okay, maybe right now my environment may also get compromised. I also don't know what is there inside the environment. Okay, it usually security experts take 120 days to identify something wrong is going in my environment and how to mitigate it. So by the time we understand what should be the output, by the time we already lost the battle. Okay, so you should always make sure whatever data you are backing up, it is immutable, so that is not can be altered or deleted by anyone in the area. Okay, so that is more important, and based on these particular 4 pillars we are scoring your backup infrastructure. So it should be always 80% and more, so that's how you will get a green line over there. Yeah, next. So managing backup and its components is a monotonous task. Am I right? Absolutely. If you can just see the first image, that is nothing but an LS. I'm just listing the home directory. It seems to be very fine and very clean and clear, right? But when I'm done like listing for all the hidden files also, like just go to the Microsoft and view to the file explorer and just go to the view hidden files, it will be like a mess, right? So it is really a monotonous task. There are multiple components involved, there are multiple backup flow you need to define, how the backup will flow, how the security compliance has to be mitigated, you need to schedule the reporting, you need to monitor multiple stuffs. So it is a monotonous task. So rather than focusing on a production, you always keep your or you always divert your you always get diverted toward the managing backup infrastructure. But what if you get a great MSP kind of but you get a great managing service providers like an AceCloud, who are capable enough because they have the experts who are daily doing the same thing daily, managing the backups, making sure the backups is recoverable, making sure it is an 4i authorization or MFA is applied. So they are quite capable enough and they are expert in that particular space. So you should always make sure that you uh, like throw this particular task to on the head of the Ace Cloud rather than managing by your own self. So this is what the agenda is. So to understand, managing backup is not an easy task, right? But rather than doing by our own self, you should always rely on the MSP like Ace Cloud. That is what I want to say. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope the session was informative for all of you. And I'm so sorry if there is a lag in my voice or maybe, but yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jigar. Thank you, Ashwani, for your valuable insights. We'll now open the floor for questions from our audience. Till then, I want to know that AI success is often measured by model performance, but failures usually come from infrastructure and data gaps. In your view, what is the most underestimated risk enterprises face while scaling their AI infrastructure? Jigar, Ashwani?
Yeah, hi. Sorry, can you please come again? What was your question?
Sure. The question was AI success is often measured by model performance, but failures usually come from infrastructure and data gaps. So, in your view, what is the most underestimated risk enterprises face when scaling their AI infra?
First, they need to put the design of that backup architecture. That should be, good enough to know that, at time of any crisis or any attack, that should be recoverable and the business continuity should be there. So there was a question of in the as well regarding the same that organization should move from. So I answered that question that organization should move from just taking backups to protecting the full AI environment. That includes data, models, pipelines, storage, and user access. They also need stronger security like MFA, encryption, monitoring, and immutable backup. Most importantly, they more fast recovery and proper data governance from the beginning. So it shouldn't like happen that the plan is good on paper but not practically. So
Understood. There's one question. As AI workloads scale, what are the most common gaps you see in enterprise infrastructure that impact performance or reliability? Shane Menza has asked this question.
what are the most common gaps you see in enterprises infrastructure that impact performance and reliability? So the solutioning as per the requirement when you architect the AI workloads on the cloud. So the the requirement should be very clear that what you want to achieve, what you want to achieve. Then deploy that workload, and depending upon the requirement, it will be decided that what kind of storage, what kind of CPU, what kind of architecture you need. And reliability, that the if the provider is compliant with the latest compliances, uptime guarantee, what is there, what are the other USPs other than the hyperscalers they are providing. So multiple things to be considered when someone wants that infrastructure performance and reliability.
Kriti, if you're speaking, you are on mute, okay?
Yes. There's
Would
one
you
more
like to
question.
add something here on this, Jigar, on this question?
No, it's fair enough. Yeah, you answered that.
Perfect.
Jigar, there's one more question. What role does backup and recovery play specifically in AI pipelines, especially when dealing with large training data sets?
Okay. So basically, when we see the how the modern workloads are being protected, okay. So over the upcoming years, we have seen that our Kubernetes from the stateless architecture, they have moved to the stateful architectures. Okay, so it's not about only protecting the pipelines or something, but you need to make sure that whatever data you're storing on the PV or PVCs or the config maps or secrets, so you should make sure that is also coverable. Okay, so and the data protection should not limit by their own self that I'll only do the backup on the AKS. I'll not be able capable enough like migrating data to GKE or AKE or something, any other platform. So it should be that quite compatible and dynamic in nature. So that's where you need to understand that how the Kubernetes protection workload require the protection. Okay, that is more important.
Understood. There's another question. How can enterprises balance the need for performance compute with cost optimization while ensuring strong data resilience?
Okay, so yeah, so if we need enterprise grade kind of thing, we need to spend some. Okay, it's not like in we need a performance of a NVMe, but we are not going to spend on a SAS disk. It's not be like that. But yes, you can work in a hybrid model where it's not that compulsory. But yes, wherever the component demands the NVMe, you need to provide that. Many of the workloads in the backup space, if you see, they are more RAM and the CPU centric. Okay, we are not more on the disk right now. So while you do the instant VM recovery or something, so we are having a more intense pressure on the RAM side, not on the data size. But yes, for having the great IOPS during this kind of incident, or for the great reading IOPS, you need to have the NVMe in a place. Otherwise, performance will not be that at par.
Understood. One last question before we wrap up. For organizations just starting their AI journey, what would be your top recommendation to build a future ready and resilient infrastructure from the day one?
So I'll cover up the second part of this answer. I'll let the Ashwani sir to take the first part of the answer. The second one is like whatever product line you are using, okay, that you should make sure that is enterprise kind of grade, or that is being compatible with multiple data protection tool in the market. And whatever are protecting, you should make sure that you are cyber resilient by that way. What I mean to say, you are able to integrate with the SIM tool, you are integrated with the antivirus tool, or you are integrating with any third party tool who is capable enough to answer you whether the data what you are hosting or what you are protecting, that is in a safe hand, that you assure is always required. Yeah, the first part I would request Aswani sir to jump in.
Yeah, for the first part, that the service provider providing the platform for the AI compute should be compliant with the compliances, providing the best uptime, no hidden charges, which will impact if the requirements get increased after a year or two. So it shouldn't impact on the pocket of the customer. So no hidden charges, compliant, uh, we are providing, all in one platform solutions. So a single vendor to scale up the AI platform requirement would be a great choice for the customer to get scale and build their AI platform.
Thank you, Ashwini. Thank you, Jigar. And thank you everyone for joining us today. A special thanks to Ashwini so from AceCloud and Jigar from Veeam for sharing their insights and expertise today. The key to take away from today's session is clear. As AI adoption grows, organizations need to think beyond compute power, focus equality on resilience and protection. By bringing together high performance infrastructure and modern protection strategies, enterprises can build AI environments that are not only powerful but also secure and reliable. If you would like to explore how Ace Cloud and Veeam can support your AI and data resilience journey, feel free to reach out to us. Our teams would be happy to connect. Thank you once again for being part of today's session. We look forward to seeing you in upcoming webinars. Thank you, everyone.